Welcome to this Conveyancing Matters chat with Rob Hailstone, and we're going to talk about National Conveyancing Week. Welcome to Conveyancing Matters with Lorraine and Stu. Join us for a chat about all things property. So, Rob, lovely Rob Hailstone, welcome to Conveyancing Matters. It's delightful to see you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, a little frazzled, a few days away from National Conveyancing Week, the first ever National Conveyancing Week, but happy with the progress we've made so far.
Oh, well, just delightful, Rob, and that's obviously what you've come to chat to us about, so our conveyancing colleagues and friends can learn a bit more about National Conveyancing Week, and we'll talk to you about that. We'll talk to you about that in a minute. But Stu, over to you.
Yeah, hi. How are you both?
Good.
Yeah. Good stuff. I thought we'll just begin the chat with maybe just a few questions. What you're thinking at the moment in terms of the market? Lots of people are sort of reporting it's picked up a bit. Others are saying it's still sort of a bit quieter than maybe we'd like. What do you think?
Well, from what I can see and hear from our members, the market's absolutely fine. It's at a level where we all want it to be. Really, it's manageable. I think fees did go up a lot over or a bit during the pandemic. I have seen some talk of people reducing fees, but I really hope they're not. That's just ridiculous. You don't need to be doing that at the moment. So yeah, long may it continue as it is. Everybody seems reasonably happy after the 2.5, 3 years that we had.
Yeah, it seems to return to a much more manageable state, and it's a bit like taking the stamp duty period out of the equation and carrying on from sort of 2019 and early 2020. So yeah, fingers crossed there's no more dips, depending on what's going to come up with the interest rates and even the budget as well. So who knows, but fingers crossed.
I think it's tricky times for conveyancers. There's other issues they've got to be dealing with, climate change issues, Building Safety Act, fire regulations, etc. The job just gets harder and harder. Let's hope they get paid more and more.
If only, Rob.
If only, yeah.
Well, in many ways, that's down to them as well sometimes.
Yeah, to an extent, I think, But I mean, that is that laser focus that you have, Rob, on the sort of, the lot of the conveyancer, which presumably sort of gave rise to your idea for National Conveyancing Week. So for the benefit of those watching, Rob, just remind us when it is, but more importantly, just tell us a bit about what gave you the idea for National Conveyancing Week. What's it about? Where did it come from?
Okay, well, firstly, before I forget, it's next week. So it's the 20th of March through to the 24th of March, and all of it's online, but we'll talk about that later. Do you know what? I'm not really sure where it came from. I'd like to say it's 100% my idea, but I'm not sure if it is. We were working with our conference organizer last year, Matt Colgan, and I think he may have mentioned something about a National Conveyancing Day or National Conveyancing Week. We never really followed it through, and I'm no longer working with Matt. And if you talk to Peter Ambrose of the partnership, he maintains it was his idea, and he gave it to me or talked about one night when I think we had a few sherbets, and he thinks I stole it from him, although he does say it was National Conveyancing Day. Whatever the story is, I don't mind. I picked it up. I've run with it. Thanks, guys, if you gave me the idea. Let's just hope it's a success for everybody concerned.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. So tell us about what's the purpose of it? What's it for? What's it doing? Well,
the reason I sort of ran with it was I've been obviously watching conveyancing all my life and watching it a lot from the outside for the last 10, 15 years. So I was at the coalface for 30 years, from the mid-70s to 2005. And then we did HIPS for a few years. And now I've been running the Bold Legal Group for 10 plus years. And I can see that conveyancers now have a completely different job to the one I did up to 2005. And I've said this many times before. I think going back to my days, I had maybe, 7, 10, 12 plates to keep spinning at any one time. Now they've got 20, 25, 30 plates to keep spinning. And more of those plates seem to be being put on polls by everybody on a daily basis, i.e. climate change, Building Safety Act, Japanese knotweed, you name it. AML, source of funds. I never had any of that to deal with. So I was thinking, this is tough. It's a different job. I wouldn't say it was more it's more difficult. I think it's more challenging, if there's a difference in that. And I've got a touch of, I think, survivor's guilt, in that I really enjoyed, as much as one can, my 30 years at the coalface. And I'm not sure conveyancers today enjoy it as much as I did, certainly when the pressure was on with SDLT and the pandemic, etc. So I thought, okay, before I drop off the perch or hang up the spurs or whatever, let's try and give something back to the profession I've been involved in now for nearly 50 years, and try and make their lives, slightly better if I can.
I mean, that's a point that chimes with you very much too, isn't it? The fact that the job's changed so much. You and I talk about that a lot, but with you being in the position you're in.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And I think, Rob, you said 2005. I think the job's changed in the last 5 years. The volume of information we now have to consume as a lawyer and report to the client on is astronomical. And, I was only having this chat literally a few days ago with some search providers. And I was saying that, the more information that's been thrust upon us, the more we have to look at, the more we have to report to our client. And yet everybody's moaning that the actual process takes longer. Well, it's taking longer because we're doing more and more and more that doesn't strictly relate to conveyancing. Gone are the days that our job was looking at title and, transferring it from a seller to a buyer. That's what we, used to do. That was the primary thing, wasn't it? But now, like you say, AML, ID checks become so vast, and the knowledge that people have to have when you're profiling clients, it's so multifaceted now, the industry and the job that a conveyancer has to do, that, like you say, spinning plates, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and I think probably, the clients and estate agents and others don't understand that it's become more challenging and more difficult, or maybe some agents do. In fact, I know some do, because we recorded a session yesterday for next week, and those agents, it had become more difficult for conveyancers, but I don't think the public do, and lots of other people. And I don't think the fees that are charged reflect the complexity and the risks involved and the PI premiums, you guys have to pay, etc.
Yeah, this was part of the. Sorry, go on, Roy.
Well, no, you go on, Stu.
So this is part of the reason I was quite excited when I heard about National Conveyancing Week, because for me, we've talked about all sorts of different solutions as to how we can maybe improve the industry, improve the process. But one of the big things that I think was missing was sort of education to people outside of the industry, and people I don't think are aware of what we do and why we have to do all these different things. And you can try and manage clients' expectations as much as possible, but I think genuine information being put into a public forum about what we do was really important. So again, when this came up, I thought, brilliant. It sounds like a perfect opportunity to try and push this message out there.
Yeah, and you just got to look at the length of the Bold Legal Group bulletins that go out every week now. They're getting longer and longer, and I'm trying to condense them in many ways. But because the process is now more complicated, there's more that needs to go in the bulletins every week and on the online forum. It just doesn't stop. It literally is 24/7. And you're right, the public don't really understand that, and why should they? It's very difficult to get that message across to them, how it works. I did do, as you know, probably a little short animation video based on snakes and ladders to try and get the message across. But I think if you did a proper animation video, it would be a feature-length film almost.
Yeah, you're right there, Rob. Well, the points that you both made have sort of lead me to wonder, Rob, specifically. So, who is the target market for National Conveyancing Week?
Well, I think that will evolve over, hopefully, we'll have one next year and the year after and so on. So that will evolve over the years. Initially, my thoughts were, let's just raise the profile of conveyancing and conveyancers so that people understand what they do. Try and get them more appreciated than they are at the moment. So at the moment, I guess it's focused on conveyancing and conveyancers. We have put the word out to estate agents, and hopefully we'll get some estate agent audience next week. We don't know until that happens. But I think as the years go by, I want to bring in all the stakeholders if possible. So the surveyors, the brokers, the mortgage, the lenders, etc. So it becomes a whole week based on conveyancing, and bring in the public. We were talking to the Homeowners Alliance about that. We just brought them in a little bit too late this year to do that, but I want the public involved as well, if possible, next year.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. And I, Stu and I have often said, the public often feels like the missing link, really. But getting to them, I think, can be quite hard. But Rob, can you tell us then about the sort of advertised events that we've seen on social media? And I'm interested to know the various sort of events. If you could just take us through maybe some of the sort of main ones in the shape of the week, and crucially, dare I ask, is it all free?
Okay, well, I'm going to cheat slightly now because I've just put the agenda up on my screen so I can remember the agenda. But yes, it is free. It's free for anybody who wants to watch or attend the one event that is actually an in-person event. I'll run through the agenda quickly in a second, but it is free for them. Thankfully and luckily and kindly, we've got a number of sponsors, commercial businesses who have donated a certain amount of money, and they've got their logos on the website. But the law firms are on the website with their logo, with a link through to their own site. That's all free. And I understand today that about 250 law firms have received some free promo packs that they're opening up now. So they've got some banners in there, some coasters in there. I think there's 4 cupcakes in there and a few things like that. And we said cupcakes. We would have liked bigger promo boxes, but they're quite expensive to put together. And we didn't know how the budgets were going to work out this year. But people are, as I speak, hopefully beginning to decorate their offices with the promotional material. And we should have some pictures of that on the website in the coming days. We've got a mixed agenda. So David and I are opening on the Monday morning with a 5-minute welcome to anybody who wants to listen to that. Then on the Monday, we're kicking off with the Conveyancing Foundation, Lloyd Davis's baby, really, and his Share the Love campaign, because well-being is big thing at the moment, obviously. So that's worth a look, I think, on the Monday morning for about half an hour at 8:50. Then we've got a live panel discussion, recruitment and retention. Are we losing too many conveyancers? How are we going to keep conveyancers? How are we going to get new ones in? That's a live one on Monday that I'll be hosting. So I'm really looking forward to that. Not, but I am. We've got a panel discussion we just recorded about panel managers. That's going out at 1 o'clock. In the afternoon, what does the future of due diligence look like at 3 o'clock? They're all on the website, all on the website, all on Eventbrite. And on the Tuesday morning, interestingly, we've got a live event from London, because David Opie, who's running today, who's running National Conveyancing Week with me, has his award ceremony in London on the Tuesday. So we're using his venue in the morning, or when I say we, the home buying and selling group are using his venue in the morning. And we're having a live discussion about upfront information, which has been talked about for many, many years. Beth's going to be there. Beth Rudolph's going to be there presenting. I'll be chairing it. We've got an audience there, a live audience there. And also, I know we've got about 50 or 100 people already registered to watch that. So that'd be quite an interesting one. Excuse me, that is the only the in-person one you can attend if you want to. And then we go into the afternoon with some more recorded, not the afternoon, because the award ceremony. We then go on to Wednesday morning, which again is really interesting, because this is when firms open up their offices to local businesses, local estate agents, maybe the clients come in. It's a sort of coffee morning. And I have my doubts that this would take off, but I have been really impressed by a number of firms who are doing this and have grasped the nettle and are really publicising it locally. They've got their promo packs today. They're going to be sending us pictures. It's brilliant. And I think we've got maybe 30, 40, 50 firms who are doing this across the country. And if we're doing that this year, just think what we can do numbers-wise next year. I don't usually get this animated and this excited about things, but they really have, stepped up to the plate on that, I think, the law firms, which is absolutely fantastic.
And yeah, that's really amazing, because and I think from just the lily that you've mentioned there, Rob, what's really interesting, apart from the fact that, and I really think we need to stress this to people who want to register, these events, this is all free. So people can just register on the website. What's the website address, Rob?
Well, just type in National Conveyancing Week into Google and it will come up now.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So people have just got to basically register for these events. So it's all free. But I think what's really interesting is sort of, it's the range of what you're doing. and what's on offer, really. As you said, the panel events, the British Conveyancing Awards, which, as you say, today's conveyancer and David Opie have set up, which has become incredibly successful. But the fact that firms are involved on the ground, I think that's a really, really important point for firms, actually. So it's not just people with their headphones on listening to a webinar. It's very much more than that, and I think that sounds really exciting, actually.
Yeah, and we've got on the Wednesday afternoon a guide to conveyancing for estate agents and others by Ian Quayle. So hopefully some agents will watch that as well, and maybe some of our conveyancing members as well. On the Thursday morning, we've got the practicalities of a better working relationship with estate agents, which I actually recorded yesterday. So that's going out on the Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. Then at 2 o'clock on the Thursday, Sean Jardine will be talking about fees and how you can charge fees and charge more. So people should be watching that one as well. And then on the Friday, we're just kind of a slow wind down, or as David Opie calls it, a wind down. So clever play on words, I guess. So not much will go on in the morning because you will all be doing your completions, I hope. And then David and I will do a short summary in the afternoon as to what's happened in the week and our successes, and hopefully no failures.
Oh, it sounds amazing. It just sounds like a really, really, interesting and eclectic and sort of engaging mix of sort of events and people within the industry. But I think the fact that people on the ground and people that are doing it can sort of be actively involved. I think it's the active engagement thing, but because of course that's the sort of thing that's going to get, hopefully help with retention and so on. That if people within the industry can see that they're being appreciated and the job that they're doing is being appreciated and the complexity of what they do is appreciated. But certainly, Stu, you and I have talked quite a lot, haven't we, about just how conveyancing feels quite devalued quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, the modern fee, and especially last year or the year before during the stamp duty holiday period, would have probably felt quite detached. So I think, by having everybody come together for a common cause, and that being so relevant to what people do, is really, really important.
One of the things, I had a bit of a doom and gloom moment not long ago because I really thought that people weren't enjoying their jobs at all, the conveyancers. But we've carried out a number of case studies recently about how certain conveyancers got involved in conveyancing and why they're still in conveyancing. And at the end of these case studies, all of them said, I really love my job. It's hard, it's tough, it's stressful, it's pressure, but we like helping people buy the house of their dreams. We love the exchanging, we love the completions. So there is hope. And one of them, I think I can name her, Laura Maggs, I think one of her children is following her into the profession.
Oh, really?
It's great, because I wouldn't allow my children to do that a few years ago, but maybe there's hope yet for the youngsters coming into it. The only other thing I'd like to say before we sort of wind up is when I came up with the idea and mentioned it at our conference last year, I didn't really think about how I was going to put it together. And I bumped into David Opie at an event one day and said, David, look, do you want to help me run with this? We had a 5-minute chat. He said, yeah, of course I do. Well, I hope he's not regretting it today. He probably is today, but he won't be hopefully at the end of next week. But the amount of work, time and effort that David and his team have put into this is incredible. If it was me, there'd be 2 firms involved next week. We've got 250 plus. And the other person I'd like to thank is Rachel from Orion Legal Marketing, who's helping us as well with her team. Without them, none of this would have happened.
Oh, well, that's really nice to know. Well, obviously, we're in close contact with David, and they were very kind enough, bless them, to ask me to be a judge on the British Conveyancing Awards. So we're really, really looking forward. Stu and I are going to go down with our conveyancing friends and join everybody next week. And obviously, David's going to put this out, via the sort of Today's Conveyancer channel as well. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to, support it in our small way, really, isn't it, Stu? Because it's just such an important thing, the profile of conveyancers generally. It doesn't matter where we all stand in terms of the things that we as individuals do. It's all about actually, we are all one profession. We are all the same profession. And Stu, myself, Rob, you, David, we're all trying to do much the same thing in our different ways, I think, Stu.
Yeah, definitely. Look, the industry's had a real tough ride, especially over the last 3 years. And, we've all moaned about conveyancing. Externally, people have moaned about us conveyancers. So this is absolutely the perfect opportunity for everybody to support Rob and the industry in general next week by, getting involved, registering for these events. Everything's free of charge, so there's no excuse, is there? It's only value. Everything's added value for the conveyancer out there. So, I'd urge everybody to support it.
And you can watch what you want when you want. You don't have to start at 9 o'clock on the Monday morning and finish at 5 o'clock on the Friday. That would be ridiculous. You get no work done. But you can dip in and out when you want. And probably after the event, some of the recordings will be available anyway. But we want people to get involved next week and to watch it next week, really.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So just to close then, Rob, just remind us again for one final point. So just remind us, those interested in attending the events, Rob, what do they have to do?
Well, they do have to register. It's free for everybody, but they do have to register through Eventbrite. So go to the National Conveyancing Week website and all the information will be on there, as will the link through to the Eventbrite page. It's all pretty simple. We have a hashtag, which is hashtag NatConveyWK 2023. So look at that on Twitter and everywhere else. And please, spread the word. We want as many firms to be involved in this as possible, so that, as I say, we can grow it year on year on year on year.
Oh, well, that's fantastic, Rob. Well, we'll certainly look forward to seeing you and David and all our friends and colleagues at the British Conveyancing Awards next week. And on behalf of Conveyancing Matters, Rob, Stu and I wish you all the best with National Conveyancing Week, don't we, Stu? We really hope it's a great success for everyone.
Most definitely.
Well, your support is really, really appreciated. Thank you.
Not at all.
Yep, no problem.
Oh, well, you take care, Rob, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.